Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. My name is Sergio. I'm a product marketing manager here at Logpoint, and today I will be your host for this session, in which we are going to discuss the importance of integrating ticketing systems with your SIM solutions and the benefits of doing so. Joining us today, we have Paul Gower, our beloved Director of Sales Engineer. With him, you will witness how Logpoint seamlessly integrates with Zendesk and how this reduces the amount of work and time for your team. But before any of this, and before we dive into this presentation, I'd like to quickly discuss some practicalities and what we are going to cover today. First of all, this session is being recorded, as it was mentioned when you joined this Zoom webinar. So this way, we can share this webinar later with all of you. We can share this recording, and we can also offer it on demand for those who couldn't attend today or might want to check it at a later point. Now, regarding the agenda for today's session, we will start discussing the topic of ticketing systems in cybersecurity and the benefits of applying automation to it. This is going to be followed by an introduction to Logpoint as a product and as a solution. And after that, Paul will give you a demo about how Logpoint integrates with Zendesk to perform some crucial security tasks. So if you have any questions during the presentation, don't wait until the end. We encourage you to submit your questions using the Q&A feature. You can just find it, I think, at the bottom of your screen. And we will address these questions during the Q&A session at the end. So now, without further ado, let's get started. But let's start by taking a look to what it means to work with ticketing systems in cybersecurity. Well, first of all, ticketing systems, or the understanding of ticketing systems, is a tool that will help you track and manage IT requests, such as bug fixes or other IT requests related to IT infrastructure vulnerabilities. But when it comes to cybersecurity, well, it's all about tracking, managing, and resolving requests and incidents that are related to security alerts. However, ticketing in itself presents certain challenges, right? For instance, the increasing number of alerts we know that the number of threats and security incidents is constantly increasing, but so is the complexity of the alerts. Although some might be clear, the sophistication of threats escalate also the complexity of tickets raised to the IT teams. When working with ticketing systems, IT and security professionals deal with a vast amount of repetitive tasks. Due to the lack of appeal of these repetitive tasks as well, we can just understand that there is an increased difficulty to find talent who might be interested in taking care of this task. But also this repetition, this repetitive nature of these tasks might lead to a higher likelihood of committing a mistake, as the analyst might oversee something. It also leaves loopholes, or they also might underestimate the criticality of the alert. Another challenge is that ticketing systems typically rely on manual tasks, which in turn, well, can exacerbate the lack of a standardized process. Another common issue is the existing of operational silos, especially between the team who take care of the SIM solution and the team who manages this ticketing system, and that might lead to a lack of collaboration. Finally, the lack of integration with the company's cybersecurity tech stack and the ticketing system will feed back on some of these challenges we just mentioned, such as repetitive tasks, lack of a standardized process, or operational silos. Altogether, one can only expect that it will take longer time to respond to threats, which eventually will reflect on a higher risk. So the answer to some of these challenges lies into automation. Although automation is the panacea, cannot be considered as a panacea for all the issues with ticketing systems cybersecurity, it still brings some major improvements, I will say. But to overcome these challenges that we mentioned before, it's important to have processes in place. There's no use in applying automation if we don't implement predefined workflows and processes and standard processes to follow. Automation can help create tickets about incidents and assign them, for instance. It can also help automatically populate and update data into the ticket system with each new discovery. And all these things will help you save time and resources, especially during the triage process. As the human factor is partly removed from the equation, especially on this repetitive task we mentioned, it also reduces the likelihood of human errors. Everything is standardized, we know what the next step is, and so it's automatically done. But some tasks also will take longer, like investigation, where automation can help you accelerate this investigation task at, I wouldn't say a machine speed, but at least at a higher speed. And that will also help you reduce the time to respond to these incidents, and also eventually it will help you reduce the risk of because you leave an incident unresponded for a long time. So now allow me to talk a bit about Logpoint and some of its benefits before we dive into the demo. With Logpoint, you have more than a SIEM solution. With easy add-ons, you can just turn Logpoint SIEM into a cyber defense platform. You can cover the whole TDR process thanks to Logpoint SIEM, automation, and case management. It comes with alert enrichment, so you can add threat intel, business context, and entity risk to some of the alerts. Organizations that want to automate and orchestrate manual processes can do it, as it comes with out-of-the-box playbooks for automated threat detection, investigation, containment, and removal of threats. As well, Logpoint SIEM provides with high visibility over the whole IT infrastructure, endpoints, applications, network, cloud services. You can build all these into a cyber defense platform, which is essentially a consolidated platform for everything security we mentioned before. This will guarantee a full integration among all Logpoint products. You don't have to build them. They are natively integrated. And it also reduces the total cost of ownership, as you have everything consolidated into your tech stack, and you don't have to buy from different vendors trying to build integrations between them. But speaking of integrations, in addition to the demo that Paul will perform, where we are showing you how to integrate Logpoint with Zendesk, we have also created a video that will show you step by step how this integration works and some of the actions that can be automated, such as incident triage or creating tickets, add details to them, or update them. We will share this video in a follow-up email to you when we share the recording of it. And now I would like, now Paul is going to give you a short demo about improvements in log sources. Sorry, a short demo about the integration of Logpoint with Zendesk as a ticketing system. So, Paul, the stage is all yours, and you can go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you, Sergio. So this one, it's a little similar to things like phishing, for example. So in essence, what we're going to do is we're going to get an incident. I think this one, it's Microsoft Defender ATP. So if you know that, it just shows you how we would work with that. And in essence, what we're going to do is we're going to take your incident, we're going to create a case for it, and we're going to use playbooks just to do a bit of triage. So the idea here is just investigating, did we see the person before? Is it, you know, this guy could be on a watch list of people, and we'll basically decide whether or not we've seen anything critical from the people under investigation at this point. So the first thing we'll do is we'll create a case, we'll do a bit of triage. We're going to look at the user, a little bit about whether he has any history, let's put it that way. And we're going to create a ticket. And essentially the integration is creating the ticket to Zendesk and updating that ticket in Zendesk. So basically what you'll get is, as we go through and we do the triage, we'll be able to do the automation towards Zendesk as well. One thing to mention, and this is why Sergio mentioned the video, to be honest, I'm not going to show you the Zendesk side of this. That's really going to be the Logpoint side that I show today. So if you want to see what happens on the Zendesk end, you'll be able to see that too, but I'll walk you through the kind of things that we add towards the Zendesk. But the idea really is you can reduce time for looking at incidents because we're automating the triage of it. And also, I just want to show you some integration with common ticketing systems, so where to look on the Logpoint for that. But the flow is fairly simple. We receive some data into Logpoint. You guys know already that we normalize it, and we may enrich it. But in essence, what will happen is we get an incident. And when we get the incident, a playbook can automatically run, and it will triage that incident, look at the user, looks at a watch list of previously flagged users, looks at the cases to see if the user was previously involved, and then it investigates if there are any other suspicious events. And basically what will happen is we find any of that stuff, we create a higher priority for the case. So that's all that would happen there. But once we gather that information from the user and what happens, then we can update the Zendesk ticket, and it will add the link Logpoint information in. So within the Zendesk ticket itself, you can click a hyperlink and it will take you straight to Logpoint, so you can triage a little bit more. And then at the end of the day, you're going to decide, well, you're either going to block the user in Active Directory, so that again, that's under the playbook that will do that, or you can add the user to a watch list. So the next time we see this ticket, it'll be on the watch list, and then we will add a higher score to the thing if we get any further tickets. So without further ado, what I'll do is share my screen, and so you had to stop sharing your screen. Okay, hopefully I've got it now. So hopefully you can see my screen and what we are looking at. I'll always do my little plug before I go into demos about where you can download these different things. So this is yet another demo that we've added to the partner portal. And to jump on there, it's just the link you see here, servicedesk.logpoint.com. And where you need to go is Technical Central. So we click on Technical Central. And it's the first one, the value-based demo, and the credentials for the partner system are here. So between these two things, you can jump on and do it yourself. And the one we look at this time is we're all the way down to exercise 9. By the way, we'll be double digits in exercises soon, so give us another month. We'll have a new one out, and that will be even more exciting, as you're going to find out. But the ticketing system one, actually we linked to the video here as well. So I've made sure that if you jump on here, you can go straight to that online video as well. So that will save you some time. But if you want the exercises, they're all at the bottom. You just download it and you can walk through how we do it. So without further ado, let's stop talking about exercises. We'll actually get on and do it. So if I go to the demo system, so this is just the standard demo system that you guys should all use. And that you will have credentials for, as I just showed you. And where we start is we need to go and look at incidents. So I'm going to jump onto the incident. And because it's Microsoft Defender, in this case, the incident is going to be called ATP. If I search for that, you'll see I've got an initial access attempt detected. And what we'll see is if I look at the incident data, it gives me the different categories that it saw. So that's always part of the incident that you'll see. So we get some detail to begin with. Then if I want to look at the data itself, now I have an apology to make. We noticed this morning that if I click view data, it's not going to give us anything, but what it will show us is the query that we use to find the data. So you see it's got no results. Whenever that happens, by the way, you just can leave the query as itself. That's the query that we would use. But what we can do is I can just change it to the last 30 days. And then I do search and I get a ton of these different things. It may not be the one that I clicked on. The reason for this is because obviously we purge our systems, so we haven't kept the data from the initial incident. So that's all that's happened there. So I'll get someone to fix it, and you'll be able to link directly into the particular incident that we're after. You can see here we've got a norm ID, which is Defender ADP. You can see it's an initial access attempt. We've got the information about it. And we've looked on the user here, it's called Myra. So this is the person that's under investigation at this point. So the game is to look for that user. In fact, it's also up here. We look for that user and then we see whether that's happened any other time. And if it does, we can create a case. And well, you've probably seen all this before, so I'm not going to go too much into it. But in essence, what will happen is we will run a playbook based on this incident name. And you can just link it in and run it. This is quite a complicated playbook, so I'm not going to go through every part of the playbook, by the way. There's about 6 different playbooks that are running here. It's doing all sorts of things. But anyway, we go into the case, and what we'll be able to see, in fact, it's the first case that we see here, Microsoft Defender ATP. So if I jump into it, you'll see that we'll see the different playbooks that run and actually what happened automatically. So the point is we do all the triage automatically here. So the first thing that happens is this playbook MS Defender ATP Zendesk demo ran. And I might show you that one because it's like a big long playbook that calls other playbooks. And the first thing that it does is it adds some artifacts. If I click on the artifacts here, I can show you on this screen. You can see I've got a username called Myra and a host called Helpdesk. And you can see that this playbook created that. So this is the artifacts that we're looking at. In terms of who the laptop was and who the user was. The next thing that happens is it calls a sub-playbook, which is this ticket creation one. And what this is doing is going off to Zendesk. And let me just move something. You can't see what I can see, but it might be hiding some of the screen, so let me get it out of the way. If I do show HTML data, what will happen is in the Zendesk ticket, we get this. So this is the text that goes into it, and this is all programmatically added by the playbook. So it's got an ID, it's got a subject. You can see it was created at a particular time and has since been updated at a particular time. It's got high priority, it's a new status, and here's the description. So the Microsoft Defender detected initial access on this help desk computer, which belongs to Myra. And if you want to see it, you can look at the case and it gives you the link. And that's the point. So from Zendesk, I can now click that link that comes up as a URL in Zendesk. And then I can go straight over to the log point and start looking at the details. So if I'm in a SOC, for example, you may not be looking in the log point for this, but you will be looking in your Zendesk. And that's the point. We'll just go straight back to log point from Zendesk. The first thing it does, you see it's running some sub-playbooks. We're checking the watch list. So the watch list is just a list of users. I won't show you that, but in essence, it's a table. This is all part of the exercise. We found, you can see from the label, it says the user was not found previously in a blacklist. And the other thing we can do is check these cases to find whether the user was found in the previous case. And if it was the case that they were found in either of these things, we're going to add 10 to the risk score. So we can update the case with a priority, and you'll see it just gets added as we go. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to display some filtered query fields. So the idea is we go to LDAP now. So this, because Logpoint is linked in with the Active Directory, the playbook can go and find all the different information you want to know about the user and then put it into the case. So if I look at this stuff, so display name Myra, if I look at the label, now we find out that Myra is a receptionist and she's on the front desk, and her email is myra@logpoint.local. Again, we can add all this information to the test. So this is just saving you finding out this information about who the person is you're investigating. And obviously we can do a bunch of other stuff. It depends what's in Active Directory, to be honest. We carry on. The next thing it's doing is it's looking for suspicious Windows events. So in this case, well, you can see in the label, it says it's there were no suspicious Windows events, but again, this playbook is going to go through and it's going to see whether there are any other events that were suspicious to do with Windows. So it might be other ATP events. And the idea is there you've got a little bit of correlation. So we're understanding whether we saw anything previously, and then we can update it. And because we've got all of this information that we want to update in the ticket, the next thing that we do is we run a playbook to update the ticket. So we're going to run the ticket and do the update, and basically the ticket gets updated with all of this stuff that we gathered about who it was, and in essence that all ends up in on the Zendesk side. So you can be as detailed as you like about this or not. But in essence, you're saving yourself a lot of time on the automation. The next thing that happens is on the Logpoint side, and by the way, we're going to make some changes about how this works to make this a lot more easier to use. But in essence, what we have here is a prompt waiting for an input. Do you want to disable the user? If you do, then what will happen is this playbook here, the ATP Zendesk demo, it says, do you want to disable user? If you do, type disable. And if you type disable, that's going to go away and run a different playbook to disable the user in Active Directory. You'll see all this in the video, by the way, so it's really cool. You'll just immediately disable the user, and then that user can no longer log in. So that's quite nice. If not, then what will happen is, in this case, somebody typed no to this, and we just carried on. But when that happened, we added the user to the watch list. So yeah, so the user has been added to the watch list, and this is the name of it. So if you want to go and see the table and the user in the table, it's all here. And then we'll update the ticket to say what happened, and there you go. And so in case of the case change, we change the status to in progress. So that's pretty much it. I think I'm not going to show you every playbook here, but I can show you kind of where they are, and also what I can do is I will show you how we do the integration. So let me just click on playbooks real quick. Now I think we've pulled our playbooks Zendesk. So all I'm going to do here is just search for the Zendesk one. I think you've got those names, by the way, from the case. So the case would have told you the one, and I think the one we did was this Microsoft Defender ATP Zendesk demo. So I can just have a quick look at this, but see all the other playbooks that we have that are related. So one's to update Active Directory. Well, in fact, not in this, it's got a different name, but all of these ones, it can just link into the different parts of the system as you need. But this gives you an idea. Again, probably a bit squinty. It looks like on my screen, but maybe it's a little small, but let's see. But you run a trigger, it's creating a case item, we format it, we then run some playbooks, we do some tweaking of what we did, and then we can just walk through the different case items. So it's checking, do I need to increase the severity? I want to format in a certain way, I'm going to append to different lists, add some parameters, and you just carry on through there. Eventually, as we gather, this is the information gathering part, which uses other playbooks, but then eventually we get to a prompt to disable the user. And then if they really want to do it, we're going to basically run a playbook that goes to disable the user in Active Directory. So this is the playbook here. And if you don't, then it's just going to gather the information, add it to the table, and then we get to the end of it at the time. So it's just giving you an idea of how it is. I think the final thing that I'll show you is how we link to other systems. So if you ever want to see that, it's available on the demo system too. So you just go into the settings, and you're going to go to source settings. And this will show you the integration with pretty much anything that we do. So you can go to playbook integrations, and then you can see here are all the ones that are installed. So out of the box, it installs a bunch of them. But you can look for the playbooks that you're interested. You can look for the systems that you're interested in. So I can type Zendesk, and here's Zendesk. I'll do service. Now there's a ton of others, but we've got different integrations with each of these different things, and you'll see that you get a bunch of different actions that you can do as well. And I won't go into this too much, but in essence, these are things that you can do with each of those ones. So it's fairly simple in the Zendesk world, because with Zendesk, really all you're going to do is, you can see there's only 3 actions, and those actions, I can maybe even configure the instance. So let me just jump onto here. I'm not going to give you the information, but in essence, those actions is create a case, update a case, probably you can delete a case with it too, but the idea here is that this integration just tells you the different functions that you can do with those things. So if you ever want to know if it integrates with something that you use, then that's all you're going to do. You're just going to go into these settings, and you'll see what's what. So I think that will do. If you want more information, I will remind you the video link. Well, like I say, it's part of the value-based demo here. So if you want to see the online video of it, and it does a much better job than I just did of explaining it, simply because it's showing you the Zendesk side as well, and you can see as we go, just kind of a summary of what I just showed you. But it's good fun. It's in essence, we're just showing you how Logpoint will automate some parts of the triage and integrate with the ticketing system. But not only that, we can link the ticketing system back to the Logpoint, and that's the cool part. You put the URL in, so you link back to the Logpoint, so you can very quickly jump from one system to the other. And I think with that, I will stop. So I guess that was it from me. You guys had any questions about that? Sergio, do you want to wrap up?
Yes. Thank you, Paul. That was a wonderful demo. And again, you can find the video there as Paul suggested. And also, we will make sure to include it in a follow-up email. So in case you can find it, you have an alternative version of where to get it. And I think we have reached the time for our Q&A session now. So now is the moment. I would like to hear from all of you, from the audience. Let me check if we have some questions. Yes. There's already one question. Can you integrate with a standard/generic API if there is no ready-made integration from Logpoint because we don't use Zendesk nor ServiceNow?
Yeah, but and you can create your own integrations. So that's a really good question, by the way. I like that a lot. So the answer is yes, you can. So you can take the matters into your own hands and start integrating. So if you have the details of the API, then you can start integrating Logpoint with these other systems. Now, we do run a course. One of the things I was going to talk about, the courses we run on this. So it's like a basic SOAR course that does the training. But the question that you just raised, that's as part of the advanced course. And we actually show you how to do that for a completely vanilla system. I'm trying to think of the name of the system. It escapes me at the moment. We absolutely cover how you can do that. So the answer is yes.
Speaking of courses, where can I learn more about SOAR? I think that's already answered. As Paul mentioned, we already have some SOAR courses available. You can just find them in our website, or you can just email directly to customer success at customersuccess@logpoint.com for more information. And also, they can also help you set up a particular integration if needed. Another question here is, which other ticketing systems do you support?
Okay. Well, I think the popular ones, right? So I showed you Zendesk, I showed you ServiceNow. There'll be things like Freshdesk, Salesforce, Jira. I don't know. The idea, as I showed you in the demo, you just look for the one that you're after, and then if it's somebody asked the question about can you do it yourself? Or yeah, you can. So yeah. so those ones.
Nice. It seems like there are no more questions. Again, if you are still interested in learning more about SOAR, integrating SOAR playbooks with ticketing systems or other solutions in itself, again, you can do it. So you can also reach out for help to customer success. If there are no more questions, I guess then we have reached the end of our webinar. Thank you for all your questions. We're constantly coming up with new webinars on different use cases and other cybersecurity topics. So if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, where we will notify you about upcoming webinars, you can always register for our webinars or check any old on-demand webinar from previous sessions at logpoint.com/webinars. Very easy. I repeat, logpoint.com/webinars. Well, that was all for today. Again, thank you very much for joining this session and for your questions. And we will see each other in future Logpoint webinars. So until the next time, bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.